We've always had a great track record. We've never had any complaints. If we do have problems, I'm a problem solver. I mean, I think being a quarterback, you really have to do that. You call a play, sometimes it doesn't work out right. So you got to go back to the drawing board, and then figure out why that play didn't work well and then improve on that play.
That's from our conversation with Vince Ferragamo, a former NFL quarterback turned successful businessman. You'll find out how Vince has used the same leadership style throughout his career, from the football field to his real estate companies to his other business venture as a winemaker in California. Episode number 30 of Power Forward with Vince Ferragamo is coming up.
This is Power Forward. The primary purpose of this podcast series is to inform, entertain, and educate. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast series do not constitute legal or other professional advice, opinions, or endorsements of any kind.
All right, welcome back to Power Forward. Justin White with Mateen Cleaves. Mateen, as always, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, Justin, just living the dream, man. Please don't wake me up.
I love it. I love it as always, Mateen. We have been very fortunate to have some pretty esteemed former professional athletes on the podcast. We have had, I think, 3 Super Bowl champions join us on the show. Well, today we are adding another former football player to our guest list. But the catch here is that he is now in the mortgage business. He is Vince Ferragamo, former LA Rams quarterback. He played in the Super Bowl. He now owns Touchdown Real Estate and End Zone Mortgage in Southern California. Vince, welcome to Power Forward.
Thanks, Justin. It's great to be on Power Forward. Mateen, it's great to see you too. And we've got a couple athletes on your show today. So turn real estate, philanthropists. So we're excited to be here and talking with you from Southern California.
Yeah, it's we're going to get into the parallels between the sports world and the business world with you because you obviously had a really long career playing football. You were a high school All-American. You ended up going to Cal out there in California where you grew up. You transferred to Nebraska, and then you went on to play, almost a decade in the NFL. When you think back on your playing days all these years later, not to say you're old, but when you think back on your playing days all these years later, what thoughts kind of come to mind for you?
Well, I think, it's, they say, yesterday was a mystery, today's a gift. I think over the long period of time that I had to play football and, grow up in Southern California, it was fun. Aspirations, of course, play high school football and then go on to college. I went to Cal and transferred to Nebraska and then ended up being drafted by the Rams to come back to Los Angeles. That was a lot of fun for me. I got to play in my hometown. I actually got to play in a Super Bowl in 1980 against Pittsburgh, and it was quite fun. It was a great thrill and aspirations as a youngster growing up. You always want to play in a Super Bowl and maybe play in the Rose Bowl. And Rose Bowl was a big thing. That's the reason why I went to Cal Berkeley at the beginning, but they put us on probation, so I never had the chance. But ironically, in my professional football career, I was able to play at the Rose Bowl and a Super Bowl. So it was a great thrill and a great career. But the careers are they only last for a certain period of time. You have to start another career when you finish, Justin. And I always had aspirations to get in the medical field, but that didn't work out because of the football connection, and I didn't have that time. So I got into the real estate business when I retired, and it was fun. It was great. Great being in Southern California and great spending time with the family. And, growing up Italian, families' heritages are pretty important. So, we had, I have a great family. I have 3 daughters and they're all grown now. And so we still live in Southern California doing the real estate business. So it's a lot of fun.
Vince, let me take you back down memory lane just a little bit because, coming out of high school, being a high school All-American, and then getting to college. For me, it was an adjustment because I was used to being recruited and everybody telling you how great you are, and and everything with every coach was so nice. And when I got to college, I just became a snotty-nosed freshman that the coach rode all the time. And for you, what was that transition like, being a big-time recruit coming into college, and then once you got to college, what was the transition?
Well, it's a good question, Mateen. I think I was always the type of person that was more, group involved. I was one of the guys of the team. So I worked hard. I tried to lead by example, and I played for my older brother actually in high school, and he was pretty tough on me. And he didn't want to play me as a sophomore when I came in, but the other coaches on the staff told him, "Are you crazy? We got to play him because he gives us the best chance to win." So he was very tough. And, but when I look back at my career, the adjustment from high school to college was easier for me because it was so tough on me. Growing up in Southern California from a family that had sports in its background a little bit. My brothers played sports in front of me. So I grew up as a kid watching it. Wanted to play, but being Italian and in the family, it's like you better show me what you can do. You got to go out in the field and prove yourself each and every day. And he worked. It's a blessing that I actually had a coach like him in high school because he taught you the ropes. We had a saying in high school: enthusiasm is the force that creates momentum.
Oh, I like that.
Enthusiasm was a key to him because he never missed a day of practice. Hard work, the work ethic that he learned as a young kid, and it just parlayed into the college game. And when I went to college, you just never know. You're coming off big, you're being recruited by everybody, and everybody wants you to play, but you have to go prove yourself. And then when the opportunity presents itself, you have to take advantage. There was a game when I left Cal, we beat Stanford as a sophomore, and I had I was under a great coaching staff there with Mike White, but when they put us on probation, Mateen, we couldn't go to the Rose Bowl any longer. So I said, well, I'm going to try to make a move. And I made a move after my sophomore year, and I was 8th on the depth chart going to Nebraska. Yeah, 8th. Yeah, I was 8th quarterback. So I had to prove myself. So I had, again, another uphill battle. You have to work hard every day, and you have to prove yourself, show everybody that you fit in and that you can do the job. And then when, the guy I was competing against, Terry Luck, no relation to Andrew Luck, but he, after the first game, we tied LSU. It was 6-6. And in Nebraska, you got to win every game. And so the next game we were playing Miami at home, and all the fans had balloons, and they were waiting in the stands, and they let the balloons go when you score the first touchdown. So the halftime we didn't score any points. The halftime. So here it is, the second game. I'm there in my first year getting ready to play after my redshirt year. And Tom Osborne, we're walking off the field, he looked at me and he said, "Vince," he says, "warm up. You're gonna go in the second half." So I'm thinking to myself, leaving that field, I said, this is my opportunity. This is the time I got to cash in. Luckily, I prepared myself because you never know when that opportunity is going to present itself. As things turned out, we ended up beating Miami and pretty big. We scored a lot of points the second half, and they got rid of those balloons right away to begin the second half. We got the ball. We received the ball. We went down the field and scored. But it was time. It was time, and you knew it. But there's so much camaraderie and community involvement in football. And I think even today that's important because everybody has to be on the same page, but there's no substitute for hard work and opportunity. And if you work at it, if you pay attention, you do the right thing, you're respectful, you do the right things, things are going to turn out in a good way. So as it turned out, it was a pretty easy transition from high school to college. Again, into college to pro was a different story, but it was a lot of fun. And, I'm glad, I thank God that things worked out well and I got that opportunity to get out there and show them what I could do.
Yeah. You're Vince, you just talked about your pro career and what an interesting career it was. You were the first quarterback to start in the Super Bowl the same season as you made your first career start. And you talked about it. You had all these dreams growing up of playing in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, legendary stadium. And then obviously things that are out of your control happen. You end up transferring to Nebraska. Then to play in the Super Bowl in that stadium, what kind of a moment was that for you?
Well, it was bigger than life. Actually, it was something. In those days, it was a big thing as well. Having 103,000 people, which was the second largest crowd in Super Bowl history, that was electric. The crowd was really going. It's the entire run. I think that you look back at your career, beating Dallas in Dallas. That was a very instrumental game for us to move on. And then we went to Tampa the next game. We beat Tampa, and Tampa then played in the Super Bowl. So we actually saved our best football for the end of the season, thank God, because we needed it. But football is a team game, and you're only as good as the players around you and the coaching staff that gives you the right plays to play with. And we had a great defense. We had great special teams. Our offense, we had one of the best offensive lines and defenses in football. Of course, Pittsburgh was, man for man and player for player was probably the best team ever assembled. They have 13 Hall of Famers on their team, plus the coach. They were outstanding. They didn't have any weaknesses, and they could do whatever they want. They were I think they took us a little lightly in the beginning of the game, and they woke up in the second half because we were kind of, taking it to them a little bit. But there's no substitute for great offensive line play in the trenches. And, that's the basic fundamentals of any sport or in any business. You have to have the fundamentals down so that you can perform at a high level. And so, but yeah, playing in that Super Bowl, that was a great thrill, Justin, and one that you'll never forget.
And one of my sayings is, and I read it, I forget who I read it, who said it, was luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And some might say, well, were you nervous in front of 100,000 people and tons of people watching on TV? And I look at it kind of like if you're giving a presentation at work or you playing in a Super Bowl, if you prepare yourself, you shouldn't be nervous. So, how do you feel about that? I know some people probably ask you all the time, were you nervous playing in front of all those people? Yeah,
the good question. I think, yes, sir, I was nervous a little bit, I think. But even the night before the game, Mateen, you're thinking, I got to sleep. I got to get a good night's sleep tonight because I got to play a game tomorrow. So You just put it out of your mind. You have to be able to put it out of your mind. And then when the day came, the excitement was brewing from the minute you woke up to the pregame, breakfast that we had, to the pregame meetings, to getting at the stadium and then preparation. But you're running onto that field. I mean, I couldn't even feel the weight of my feet underneath me. I was so up and so excited to play. Everything really calmed down after you take that first hit. It's just like that. Your first shot, you get that first shot underway and you're ready to play. And so, yeah, the nerves were running pretty high, but I think as you're right, I think when you work hard, you expect good things, and you're just going to let the chips fall as they come. So, when you work like we did, we knew we were a good team. We knew we had a good shot, but we weren't overly confident. But we were confident enough to know, and we can play toe to toe with that team. So, but yeah, it was kind of nerve wracking to say the least at the beginning of that game.
Vince, how do you kind of describe the way the rest of your pro career played out after that Super Bowl appearance? Because the following season, you threw for 30 touchdowns, second most in the league. Then you actually went to Canada for a season, played in the CFL. You end up coming back for your second stint with the Rams. And then you had an injury, and then you moved on. You finished your career out in Buffalo and Green Bay. So seems like lots of different twists and turns after that Super Bowl fairly early in your career. How do you kind of reflect back on the way things played out the rest of your time playing professionally?
Yeah, that's a good question, Justin. I think it was a roller coaster ride, basically, because I think I played my best season the year after the Super Bowl. but again, it's always, life is always a series of ups and downs, and you got to really kind of keep an even keel about yourself, and be able to adjust to any kind of situations that do arise. But I was fortunate because after my fourth year, I wasn't able to re-sign with the Rams, and that was kind of crazy. You would think, a Super Bowl quarterback, they would keep you. We didn't have free agency back in those days in the NFL, so Canada was Nelson Scalabania came calling, and he made an offer you couldn't refuse. So I went to Montreal, and then luckily I was able to come back to the NFL because Montreal team went bankrupt, and we didn't play well up there. American football was different than Canadian football, but I was able to come back and get a second chance again, coming back again, working hard again, and coming in. And Burt Jones was one of the other quarterbacks we had in LA at the time, and then competing with Burt, it just makes you a better quarterback when you compete each and every day. So I was lucky when I first got to the Rams. We had Joe Namath. Do you remember that name? Joe Namath was on the Rams.
Yes.
And then Pat Hayden. We had the three of us were on the team, and I didn't even know I was going to make the team when I was drafted as a rookie coming out of Nebraska. So, you can't take anything for granted, especially in those days. Today it's a little different. Guys sign big contracts. They're going to keep them around for a while, but in those days you had respect. You had to respect the older guys, the seniors on the team, and then also prove yourself each and every day.
Well, how did you take, far as mentally, how did you deal with kind of knowing your worth? You played great, but yet not getting that contract. I'm sure that had to affect you somewhat inside, because and the numbers have proven that you're a starting quarterback, not only a starting quarterback in the league, but a damn good quarterback. So how was that mentally to deal with that?
Yeah, it was, that was probably one of the reasons which led me, to go to Canada, because there was such a big discrepancy in the salary that they were offering me. And so, in those days, like I said, we didn't have free agency. So I was restricted to just dealing with one team. Today, you prove yourself, other team can respond. In those days, if they had to give up 2 first-round draft picks, there's no way they would trade you away. Today, it's different. They would trade you for a first or 2 seconds, 2 firsts. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think, the discrepancy in the salary structure was one of the reasons why you probably want to leave. But I think for a career to, if I was looking at my total career, I would have said, hey, I should just stay in the NFL and just, make a go of it. And, as it turned out, things worked out fine. I actually got more money when I came back from Canada than before I left. So
good move.
It turned out all right.
And Vince, when your career ended, your football playing career ended, you didn't really waste any time before jumping into your next venture. And of course, that turned out to be real estate. You mentioned that you were pre-med for a time in college, but had to kind of go a different route because of football. But what was it about real estate? Why was that the path that you chose to go after your football career came to an end?
It was funny. I was going to get in the financial market somehow, and I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I had my pre-med background, but I really never took economics classes when I was in high school. But I was pretty good in math, and math was one of my favorite subjects. And so, numbers and working with numbers was a fun thing for me. It just came natural. I just think that, when I had the opportunity, when I retired in Southern California, I had a guy come up to me and he asked me, he said, Vince, why don't you come down and check this real estate company that we have? And, so I took him up on his offer, and that was history after that. So I stayed with the real estate. It was a great venture for me. It still is today, to be able to spend time and be an independent contractor and to go out and network and use my skills of experience and leadership to start my own company and doing things the right way and following the rules and the guidelines. And so things worked out. I was lucky to be able to generate a lot of clientele that either knew me as a celebrity or friends of mine or and then, hooking up with the right people. And like I said, it's more of a team concept that I've always relied on, and always being surrounded by good people and people that would lead you the right way, and also I can lead them the right way too. So it was things turned out pretty well that way, Justin. Yeah.
And let me ask you this because it's more about the competition aspect of things. You mentioned you were the eighth string quarterback. On the depth chart, you were eighth. And certain things we go through in life, and we wonder why. But okay, you had to prove yourself. Then you get into real estate. Was that the same mentality again? Like figuring, oh my God, because me coming from sports into corporate America, it was like, I got to prove myself. I want to show people that I can be great at this as well. Was that the mentality that you had when you were going into real estate?
Yeah, I think so, Mateen, because, you have to you have to just focus back on what you know, and what you know is important. And there's really, like I said, there's really no substitute for hard work and a great work ethic. And I think if you have the faith and you have the drive, the motivation, you have to be motivated, especially in a field like we are in marketing. You have to deal with your ups and downs. You have to deal with rejection. You have to deal with excitement, and still keep them at an even keel. And so, but the challenge and the competition is what makes it happen. To compete with another agent out there for a listing on a piece of property, you have to show to the client that you're the guy that they should choose. Why should they take you over the other agent? And so again, then at that point, then you're challenged to prove to the client that, hey, you should have me do your work because I can prove better results than my competition. And so a lot of that happens too, being recognizable too. So that was a big definite plus in my
nice.
It was a feather in my cap, actually.
Well, the other guy should have been a Super Bowl quarterback.
That's right. How many other guys can you say, oh, well, did you play in the Super Bowl? Yeah, I didn't think so. Right. But no, I'm sorry to step on your toes there, but you said something that really piqued my curiosity. How much of that, getting clients to trust you and know that you're the guy to go with, how much of that are you kind of leaning back on your experience as a quarterback and getting your receivers to trust you and to know that you're going to put them in a position to succeed?
Right. Good question, Justin. And I think the trust factor is key. I mean, we've always had a great track record. We've never had any complaints. If we do have problems, I'm a problem solver. I mean, I think being a quarterback, you really have to do that. You call a play, sometimes it doesn't work out right. So you got to go back to the drawing board, and then figure out why that play didn't work well, and then improve on that play. And so each and every day is new and exciting because it's never the same. So it's always a challenge. There's a challenge in front of you. Every client, every deal, it's just the more information that you have, the more experienced you are to meet that challenge and to correct the problem. Then the more experienced person is going to win. And so that's what I look at every day. I mean, when you're a quarterback and you drop back, you don't know what defense you're going to see. You don't know what's going to happen. There can be a myriad of things that are going to happen on each and every play. So you have to have an open mind. And again, preparation. And the more experienced you are, the more preparation you have, the easier it is to decipher and make a good play out of a bad play. So it's same thing in the real estate business. Yeah, I really see that happens every day.
Okay, now in my experience from sports or business or whatever it was, you have different type of leaders. You have some, in your face guys. You got guys that show you by example. You got guys that it's different type of leaders. And to me personally, I don't think it's one that's better than the other. What style? What is your leadership style?
My leadership style, basically, I think, is being one like you. I mean, I can't tell you how to go out and perform on a listing if I haven't had the opportunity to do it myself. Mm-hmm. So I've always started from the ground floor up. I've been in those trenches. I've been a real estate agent. I went on the cold calls. I went out to the homes to identify myself and to challenge for the listing. You know, I've had listings. I've had ups and downs through listings. So when I go to tell my agents, when they ask me questions and they're having some problems during an escrow or they're having problems getting a property sold, then here it comes. I have to put my thinking cap on and say, okay, you know, this is what I suggest that we do. This is the course of action we need to take. Whether it's right or wrong, it's like calling the play. I'm going to call the play. We'll execute that play. And if we execute that play right, I think we can win. And so it's the same thing in the real estate business, because there's so many, circumstances that happen even during the loan process. You know, all the loan documents that need to be signed. You have conditions on every loan. Then there's conditions that really need to dive deep into why, how are we going to clear this condition? And so, it takes a lot of time and effort, but the more experienced you are and the way you can get to it quickly and resolve that problem, the easier the transaction it'll happen, and it'll go a little bit smoother during the whole transaction. So that's what I see, and that's kind of what I use. But again, leadership is basically lead by example. I mean, because I've done it before. I don't feel I'm better than anybody else. I just feel as if, I'll call the play, and I think the play that I call is a good play, and let's run it together. I'll help you out, but I'll be there. I'm going to rely on you to do your work, and you're going to rely on me to do my job. And so that's kind of how I operate my business. And just like a quarterback, I have to rely on the offensive line to protect. I have to know the protection. I have to know if I have a hot receiver, if I don't. I can't rely on one person to block two guys. Everybody will do their job. And if the play is done correctly, if I called the right play, we should be able to execute and win on the play.
And to piggyback, Vince, off of Mateen's previous point, I want to ask you about consistency as a leader, whether it's being under center or being in a meeting with the other agents that are on your team. Because one thing that you said in our previous conversation that really struck a chord with me is that you were the same exact guy, whether you had the helmet on or whether the helmet was off. You were always the same guy on and off the field. And you felt as though the other guys on the team really kind of were attracted to that. That was something that they could get behind. Is consistency a key for you now in the business world, kind of keeping that even keel and being the same guy, no matter what the situation, is or like you said, an issue that may arise?
Most definitely. I think consistency is the key, because the more consistent you are, the better you will perform, and the more achievements you will have. And so that first impression is really important, I think. And the more natural you are, and you're not fronting and you're not putting on a show, I mean, if it's a natural reaction, then I think people will respect you more, and they'll like you more, and they'll do a better job for you. And I know my receivers like playing with me because we joked around a lot. I was one of the guys. So I used to make up stuff in the huddle, so I mean, the guys just keep them on their toes, Well, what's he calling? Some of the guys go, Vince just called the play, run what he called, and I knew what I wanted him to do. They just had to know what I wanted them to do. So anyway, it was, it was fun. We make up stuff once in a while. I mean, but it's, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure stuff out. I mean, just take it one play at a time. It's a saying in the NFL, one game at a time, one play at a time. And we take it one day at a time in the real estate business. So,
yes.
I
love it. And it seems like, every, coach, every good coach that I played for, every, good leader I've been around, it's like they care about people. My college coach, people always say, what was it about him that made you play so hard? And I think I thought back, and he cared. He just cared about me. So I would run through a brick wall for him.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, for you as a leader, with people, I think if they know that you genuinely care, that's the first step to getting them to trust you and just to work hard for you.
That's a great point. I think that, It's you got to be caring. If someone always wants to offer, they need help. Okay, if someone needs help, you want to come to the rescue. You want to help them. So you don't need to, say, I need this, I need that. You don't need it. You just go help somebody else that needs it. Put it on the other person. And
right.
I did a lot of things too in our community here locally with the Special Olympics program. And we had a golf tournament for 30 years here in Southern California. It went great. We had the Vince Ferragamo Foundation, and we supported the Speech and Language Development Center. And so giving back, I think too, people can't forget to give back. If you're in a position you can help people, you should be able to help them. So we've kind of been we've done that throughout my whole career as well. Got to make time for that.
Yeah, you actually mentioned that you and your wife, you guys have really been generous with the community and some charitable organizations out there in Southern California. Talk a little bit about that, Vince. Why some of these causes that you guys have been associated with for such a long time are so near and dear to your heart.
I had a friend of mine that used to work with the Rams. He was part-time. He worked in the equipment room, and he had a Down's syndrome daughter, and her name was Lori. And he came to me one day and he said, Vince, when I was playing ball for the Rams, he says, would you mind helping us out with the Special Olympics program? I said, sure, that sounds like fun. So he's actually the one who got me involved with the program. I'm glad I did. I got my entire family when I had my daughters. And the very first tournament we had was in 1983, and my oldest daughter at the time was 1 year old. So I can remember the year, and we started a golf tournament, and all the proceeds went to Special Olympics, Southern California. And it was fun. We got a lot of the ex-football players and basketball players here in Southern California, baseball guys, some jockeys, and we had a celebrity tournament, and everybody had a great time. And again, it was giving back. So each and every year, June the first Tuesday in June, it was the date for our tournament. And, it takes preparation. You just can't go out there and turn on and off the switch. You have to prepare. So we'd start preparing in January. And, but each and every year when that time rolled around, everybody was ready for it. And the year we stopped it after 30 years, everybody was like, where's the golf tournament? The golf tournament. But, a lot of people had passed on. It was going on for so long that it kind of ran its course. But we raised a lot of money for Special Olympics. We're really proud of it.
And I'm glad you hit on that, Vince, because like a lot of people, when you have success, my mom always told me, if you're in position to help, you always help people. And I do a lot with my foundation too in my community here in Michigan. But, for you, like me, I got so much gratification out of it. I mean, it made me feel so good when I was able to help. And for you, it just seemed like you kind of lit up a little bit when you were talking about it.
Right.
How did you feel when you're actually going through it and preparing and seeing how much you could help, on a yearly basis?
I think you needed to have a host like you do with your own tournament or with your own charity foundation. You have to generate excitement for people to come and get involved. And if they know you're excited, they'll want to be excited and they want to have fun with it. And so I was of the opinion, and my wife was very involved with it too. Now she has a fundraiser for breast cancer, and she's done it for 5 years, and she raised a lot of money for breast cancer. But the programs, there's so many charitable programs that need help. You can only do so much, but I was able to generate a lot of excitement and a lot of participation with a lot of vendors and people that knew me in the community, and people who had businesses that would donate to it. And I was always of the opinion that, I really appreciated people who made money, but also would give back with their money. And so it would make me want to do more business with them because I knew how giving they were. And it's not so much the money is the gratification like you have. It's the gratification that you help somebody, whether it is you volunteered, or you weren't able to give any money, but you offered your services for something. And so, we have to be service related. And I think that's what that's what our tournament was all about. Everybody came out, participated. Some people gave a lot. The Rams were always a big sponsor for my event, obviously. And there was always the same corporate sponsors each and every year. And they made it run. They made it worthwhile because we were able to give the money that we generated through the event. Of course, it's kind of costly to run a golf tournament, but more than 50% of the monies generated were donated to charity, which is a pretty good tournament.
Yes.
And you just keep doing more, Vince, because you've got the real estate business, and now you're in the mortgage game, which we talked about briefly. It seems like you just want to keep doing more and more and more. Where would you say that comes from? The desire to kind of keep reaching for new challenges and to keep doing new things and kind of keep expanding your portfolio, so to speak.
My wife is half Sicilian and half Irish, so she's got a temper. So get out there and do something. So she's a driving force, you know what I mean? Oh God. So it's something that I think I don't want to have idle time. I always want to be active doing something. And of course we have other things that we do too. I mean, along with the real estate and the mortgage, I'm very active in the wine business as well. So
that's right.
That keeps me busy, with some of my pastime or some of my free time. I actually are out in the vineyard and messing with the wine, the grapes. So, and then I have my grandkids, and my grandkids are great fun to be around. And my little grandson, he's 5, Mateen, and he's hitting the golf ball. He hit the golf ball. We went and played 5. We played 9 holes the other day. We walked them. And he actually hit 105-yard drives.
Oh, my goodness. At 5 years old?
105 yards. I traced it off. I said, I couldn't believe it. I said,
let's get him agent. What we waiting on? Let's get him
105 yards. Hey. So we're at this one hole, and I said, Vincenzo, you think you can clear the lake on this one? He goes, yeah, no, I can clear it. So I teed it up. I give him the advantage. That's his handicap. I tee the ball off the fairway. And he took out his driver. And 3 weeks before that, he didn't make it. He came up about a foot shy. But this day, he hit the ball. He cleared the water. Wow. He hit it up on the green, pin high. And it must have went 130 yards. I mean, it was to the pin. I looked at him, and then we were walking by. There's a bunch of guys sitting out there on their condo looking at the thing. He says, hey, how old is that kid? I said, he's 5 years old. He's 5. He hit the ball like that. I go, yeah. So I don't know.
Prodigy.
Eye-hand coordination is good.
Hey, we know where he gets it from, right?
Well, not me. I can't hit a golf ball like that.
Well, hey, you and me both. But hey, I got to call you out on something because you made reference to messing around with wine. You do a little bit more than that, Vince. You've got quite the wine business going on out there. I see that back in 2012 and 2013, you won a couple of gold medals at the LA International Wine Competition. I mean, that's not just messing around. That's next level stuff right there.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, the LA Italian Wine and Spirits Competition is the oldest wine competition in the United States. It's 75 years. This is the only year, because of the COVID, that we weren't able to have the competition this year. They had to cancel it. But in 2012, 13, 14, and 15, my wine received the gold medal. And we were very proud of that. I mean, I didn't think it was like gold medal, but man, it was good. So, but they gave it a gold medal, and so it's become a family favorite, obviously. But Vince Ferragamo Vineyards.com is where people go to look, and you can see pictures of the vineyard. And we're really not open to the public, but it's kind of a small private collection of wines that we have. The signature wine, of course, is the Caressa J. It's named after my 3 daughters, Cara, Vanessa, and Jenna. And so it's a real family favorite. Good Super Tuscan, Mateen. So if you like Sangiovese and Cabernet,
yes,
Oronaya is one of my favorite wines. Tignanello, we try to pattern it after that. Obviously, it's not the same as Tignanello, but we enjoy it. It's nice California, and nobody would think that Southern California, Orange County, would produce wine like that, but you can. We have good climate here. It's a microclimate of we're about 20 miles inland from the water, from the ocean, and we get cool breezes and warm days, cool nights. And so, the dirt is great, produces good grape. They're growing crazy. So each year we're out there producing grapes, and we make decent wine. It's pretty nice to drink. So it goes great with the Italian food. What can I say?
Nice.
I'm ready. I'm hungry for some Italian food, and I'm ready for a glass of your Sangiovese.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. It's like a Chianti Classico, pretty much.
So where did it come from, like wine? Like, did you always, like wine or want to get into the wine business? How did that come about?
That's a good question because, my parents, every Italian family loves to eat. And, we'll sit at the dinner table and we'll eat sometimes 2 to 3 hours. And a lot of it is an accompaniment of wine. You have wine. But my parents weren't really into the wine so much as a kid growing up. My mom was a great cook. I'm 100% full-blooded Italian. Napoli is the area where our family's from in the South. And so, my mom was such a great cook that, people just ate and ate and ate. But, the thing about wine is that the acidity in the wine kind of breaks down, makes your mouth salivate. And that's what Sangiovese offers. And so it cleanses your palate, makes you want to eat more. So once you eat, you drink a little wine and you digest, and boom, you're ready to eat some more. And so you continue eating, and it's a fantastic choice. Sangiovese is probably one of the best varietals if you're looking to eat whatever kind of food. It's the most versatile varietal there is. And I'm very lucky because Michael Jordan, who's a master sommelier here in Southern California, really likes my wine, and he's promoted it quite a bit. So that doesn't hurt at all. It's nice to have a master sommelier promoting your wine. Wow. So pretty cool.
Nice.
And you took classes, Vince. This isn't like, and you go back to, going back to your point about hard work and preparation. You didn't just jump into football. You didn't just jump into the real estate business, and you didn't just jump into the wine business either. You did your homework when it came to this because you didn't want to just be a winemaker. You wanted to make good wine.
Well, that's true. We have 6 P's, in football, and then we have 6 P's in the wine business. And the P's stand for like preparation, perfection. You have to be patient because it takes 5 years to grow grapes, to have a wine, to produce wine, then maybe 2 more years in barrels. So you have to be very patient. You have to have perseverance. Sometimes the weather doesn't provide you with the proper grapes. You don't have a good crop that year. And so, and it's much like football, the same thing. And you have to prepare. You have to prepare your soils. You have to prepare the hard work that goes into the vineyard. You have to thin. You have to reduce the vines down. You have to prune at the right time. You have to spray. You have to keep all the infestations out of the. We have bees. We have birds. We got coyote. We got rats. Everything. You got to there's always stuff you got to do in the vineyard. So, I think it is. It's a labor of hard work, but it's a labor of love too, because you have to enjoy the benefits of the wine. And if you do the right thing in the vineyard, we're kind of like vineyard first. And if you produce good grapes, then you have a good chance of producing good wine. Without good grapes, you can't produce good wine. So we pride ourselves in doing that. And everybody, harvest is the best time, actually, in September. It's the easiest time, because all you have to do is pick. But we have a big dinner. We have a lot of our friends come over and help us harvest, and we do it at nighttime. So we're under the lights. We have our own little lights to shine on the grapes, so we see what we're doing. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun hobby. But sometimes it becomes more than a hobby. It becomes like, this our job. We got to do this.
Man, how about that, Mateen? He's done it all.
A winner is going to find a way to win.
but being versatile though, Vince. When you look back on your career, which is still ongoing, but, from your football playing days through your work in real estate and now, as a winemaker, being versatile and being able to adapt. When other people ask you about, your success on and off the field, is being versatile one of the things you talk about? What are the messages, I guess, that you like to kind of leave on people if they're asking you about the success you've experienced?
Yeah, that's I think that's a good point, Justin, because, you have to be able to adapt, like you said, adapt to certain situations. And like I said, in the real estate business, there's nothing, each and every day is different. Each and every year for the grapes is different. There's no one year that's repeatable. You can't produce the same wine that tastes exactly like the year before. So, and, it's like we may have warm days, we may have cool days, we may have a lot of rain. I mean, so you have to be versatile. You have to be able to adapt to certain situations. The same goes for business as well. You have to be able to adapt. A lot of it, like Mateen said, is a result of hard work. Luck is a result of hard work. I mean, sometimes you just get lucky. There are sometimes I just drop back, close my eyes, and throw the ball, and the guy caught it. So he got lucky. It's like almost something there is by your side that's giving you that push, or it's helping you along the way. And the thing about playing sports, and especially getting to the end result, the Super Bowl, it just seems like the history and the tradition of the Super Bowl, the guys that have made it to the Super Bowl got there in some miraculous play, some abnormal play that you can't explain. There's no way it should have happened that way. I mean, look at the Terry Bradshaw pass that kicked off Jack Tatum's foot and then bounced up into Franco Harris's hand, and he took the miraculous reception and took it down. That put him in the Super Bowl for the first time. The Joe Montana pass to
Dwight Clark.
Clark. I mean, Joe says he knew where he was going to be because we practiced it that way, but I think he was throwing the ball away. I mean, and Dwight Clark comes out of nowhere to catch the ball. I mean, the pass I throw to Billy Waddy over the middle, it tipped off a defender's hand, and Billy runs down the middle and catches it and takes it into the end zone. I mean, miraculous play. Just things happen. You can't explain it, how they happen that way, but miraculous things do happen. And maybe they happen to the right people, the people that are deserving of it. And so people who work harder, people who don't take anything for granted, people who are not arrogant, people who are just there to have a good time, great team players, great teams, they propel themselves. No explanation. How do you figure one team over another team? Who's going to win the game? Coaching is a big factor in football, and same thing in real estate. What did you learn? Who coached you? How did you learn to do that easy? I mean, everything seems to be so easy on the professional level. And so that's what we learn. And, that's our trade that we've learned over the years. And we try to apply that in all of our aspects of life today. I mean, I could try to be a good husband too, but it doesn't always work out right.
Trust me, I know. I've been married over 10 years now. Let me ask you this, because I would be remiss not to ask you this, because I keep listening to you, and everything about you to me says self-confidence. And I'm a big promoter of self-confidence, meaning you're not as great quarterback if you don't have self-confidence. You're not great in real estate if you don't have self-confidence. You jump off into wine and find a way to win. You don't do that if you don't have self-confidence. And I think some people get it mixed up. It's not being cocky. It's a fine line between cocky and self-confidence. And I just keep listening to you, and all I keep thinking is, that's the guy that believes in himself, and no surprise why he's successful. So, can you talk a little bit about self-confidence and, being successful in sports and business and, all your business ventures, how self-confidence helps you out?
Well, the confidence is the key factor, I think, Mateen, because when you call plays as a quarterback, you look at some of the great quarterbacks that play the game today. Look at the way they communicate to their teammates in the huddle. When the quarterback communicates and he speaks clearly and he speaks with great confidence, you don't know the play's going to work, but the way you call it, if you call it with confidence, it just, I know this play's going to work. Let's run this thing. It will be successful. I look at the quarterback for the 49ers, Garoppolo. I mean, he makes crazy decisions, yes, but the one great asset that he has is he speaks well in the huddle and he's confident. The guys like the way he talks. Okay, yes. You look at Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes with Kansas City. He knows how to communicate to his teammates, the way he calls the play, the way he takes the direction from the coach to the huddle, to parlays that to his teammates. That makes him a great quarterback. Tom Brady, the same way he communicates to his players. That's the number one thing. And how does that happen? With confidence. If you don't have any confidence, nobody's going to follow you.
Right.
So I always felt when I called plays, I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but I called it like it was going to work. And I tell my young quarterbacks today when I do some coaching to some young quarterbacks, is that when you going down the 2-minute drill, you take charge. You play with confidence. Every play you call in the huddle, you got to call with be assertive, be very sure of yourself, and don't have any doubts. Because if I called a play that I had a doubt, it sounded like I had a doubt on my voice, you would be scared too. You say, well, I don't know if this play is going to work. You know?
Yes. And I'm glad you said that. So, and especially like for people that's listening in, that's very important. It works as a quarterback, it works as a point guard in basketball, and it works if you're in a leadership position in your company.
That's right.
If you get a message that's passed down, you have to own that message and be confident. If you're confident, then your team members will definitely carry out the assignment.
And the other way too is, Mateen, it's not actually what you say, but it's how you say it.
Yes.
I can tell you that I love you, but if I told you in a way that you said, that guy doesn't really love me, or I can tell you I hate you, but the way I tell you, you'd still love me. It's just the way you say it. You got to really convince the guys around you that, you're talking the right thing. And so it applies to any leadership role. So, I guess I learned it because I had great coaches. Like I mentioned, my brother in high school, I had Tom Osborne at Nebraska. I had Mike White, who was a good coach at Cal. I had Ray Malavasi with the Rams. I had George Allen when it was the first stint when I first came to the Rams. He came over. Chuck Knox was another great coach that I learned from. These guys, all these men were just the information, the way they spoke, the way they carried themselves is what made them great leaders, what made them great coaches. And, the team takes on the personality of its coach. So any team will take that personality. You look at New England. Belichick's a good coach. Those guys are all smart. The guys on defense are smarter than the guys on offense. He's got his defensive background, and they don't make mistakes. If they make mistakes, he gets them out of there. So he is just, every great team will take on the personality of the coach. And same goes for real estate. They're going to take the personality of the owner. How the broker, what's the broker doing? Okay, we'll take this personality and we're going to apply that. And so that's kind of what we do. And that's why I like working with UWM, because they have great leadership. And you guys are on top of things. You service, you close, you do the right stuff. You have great rates. You're easy to deal with. And so, that's all I can say. What more can you ask for with a partner like that? That's what you want as a partner. So,
well, we like to think that we partner with like-minded companies and individuals, Vince. People that share the same values as us. So, No coincidence that you're having all the success that you are in both real estate and mortgages, and not to mention the wine business. Can't forget about that. Mateen and I, by the way, at some point we got to get out there and check out the vineyard and sit out there. I'm just picturing it right now. We got to sit out there and overlooking your vineyard and have a glass of red with you.
Oh yeah, that would be great, and have a nice bowl of bolognese pasta with some meatballs with my wife cooking. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh yeah,
I'm ready.
That'd be great. I love it.
Well, Vince, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. It was great, great getting to talk with you and hear about your story and all the lessons that you have successfully applied from your football career to the business world. And keep up all the great things you're doing out there in California. And hopefully we get to cross paths with you sometime soon.
And Justin, if I might just say real quick before we depart, is that, if someone's interested in looking up our business, my real estate company is Ferragamo realestate.com. And the mortgage business is endzonemortgage.com and ramslender.com. So we have all those websites for you to look. And of course, the website for the foundation is vffoundation.com. or .org, vffoundation.org, and the winery is vinceferragamovineyards.com. So you've got it all in front of you. If you ever want to come visit, hook me up, email me, take a look at our website, and we can do some business together. It'd be great.
Love it. Great stuff. Vince Ferragamo, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Mateen. Good seeing you guys.
To make sure you never miss an episode of Power Forward, subscribe wherever you find your podcasts and leave us a review. And look for another new episode coming your way 2 weeks from now, featuring more inspirational stories of success. I'm Justin White. We'll see you next time on Power Forward.